Babe, did you know that if you actually heal your emotional wounds, that you can be really successful when it comes to love, that in itself is the secret to your success. You know, you've probably been chasing all of the semantics, all the advice that tells you how to become stronger, become better, become more confident, but you always keep falling back. I've heard people who get so upset with, you know, this didn't work for me and that didn't work for me, and I followed that advice and it didn't help me. But the reality is, until we heal our emotional wounds, darling, we'll just keep perpetuating the cycles, because the real success is hidden below in our roots. You know, when you've had a painful experience happen, maybe it was in your childhood, maybe it was in high school, all of those things, they leave a mark on us. We're human, you know, we cut, we bleed. These are the things that make us human. And most of the time, our emotional wounds are the last thing we want to face with. In fact, you might be watching this and maybe you've tiptoed around dealing with your emotional wounds. Maybe you've done a little bit of therapy, but then you stopped. Maybe you started working with a coach, but then you stopped. But the reality is that this is a journey of the heart. And if we're ever going to allow people to truly love us, those wounds have to get dealt with. And the beauty is that as we go on that journey of healing our emotional wounds, maybe you were touched inappropriately, maybe you were physically abused, maybe you were verbally abused by your parents, maybe you felt like you were never enough, that they were negligent. You know, this is a form of trauma, believe it or not. Some people may be watching this and you would say, Arica, I shouldn't have any emotional wounds because my parents, they didn't fight, like there were no problems. But my dad, he did work a lot, or my mom was quite busy, or she wasn't emotionally available. You know, there's a book that talks about this with CPTSD, about how neglect is a form of trauma. And so maybe you weren't physically hit, maybe you weren't verbally abused, but the neglect that you've experienced has created abandonment for you. Maybe you've become really hyper independent because you can't allow people in, because you don't have that experience of being able to trust that people will be there for you. And you see what happens is we carry this in our subconscious. It's playing, it's in our nervous system. It's what our inner child believes. We have all of this thought process, all these truths that we're hanging on to. And what happens is when we try to allow someone to love us for the real us, or we try to get into a relationship, those emotional wounds that we're not addressing press up against that love. And it's like, no, I know you want to love me, but deep down inside, I don't believe I'm lovable, because I've never been shown that experience of that. So because I don't have the experience, I can't trust you. I can't fully let you in. Maybe I'll do the things that I know to do that will make you happy with me, but I'm never going to show you the real me, because I don't know what it's like to be loved for the real me. And I can't tell you how many people who have had that same experience as you. But the reality is, it's like they say in therapy, that the issue is in the tissue. You know, there are those things that are going on inside of you, babe. And until you find the courage to start dealing with them, maybe it's something small, but taking that first step to realize, like, I have some emotional wounds. I would love for you to start getting clear about what are some of the wounds that you might be carrying, and think about, like, could this be sabotaging me in my relationships? And you might be watching this and saying, Arica, that's all well and good, but what do I do from there? Reach out to me for some coaching. I would love to take you on that journey of being able to address those things. Why? Because when we start addressing those things, we start experiencing freedom. I'll never forget when I started working with a therapist in my 20s. And I almost became addicted to this, because every time I allow myself to heal, the more I heal, the more free I become. The more free I become, the more beautiful, the more freedom, the more joy, the more peace I get to have in my life. You owe it to yourself to be loved, to experience joy, to experience peace, and to still have all the outside success. I do believe that we get to have it all, believe it or not. And if you're that person, you're like, yes, I want to be that person. And you're right, Arica, there are some underlying things that I'm not addressing. And Arica, I want to work with you on that. Then please go to my website and get some coaching. But listen, my darling, ignoring your emotional wounds, they're not going to go away on their own. And here's the truth. They don't go away with time. In fact, they just fester. They build. Because until you identify and bring some healing and truth to those areas, what you'll continue to do is continue to compound it. You'll continue to grow it. You'll continue to create more experiences that validate that. And so you create more to heal through. Do yourself a favor. Don't do yourself a disservice by continuing to have more experiences that hurt you. Instead of investing your time inviting more hurt in, instead invest your time in allowing more healing in. I've got you. You're loved. You have what it takes. Now watch this next video and let it support you. Be sure to subscribe and like this video. It will help me out tremendously. You're loved. I'll see you soon.